Princess Lyra of the Vexian Empire stood at the edge of the crystalline balcony, her luminescent blue skin shimmering in the light of twin suns. The war had raged for 3 cycles now, and her people were losing ground to the relentless human. Advance. What made these creatures so formidable puzzled every military strategist in the Empire. The humans possessed no advanced technology, no psychic abilities, no enhanced physiology. Yet they conquered star system after star system with primitive kinetic weapons and an inexplicable refusal to surrender. Her father, Emperor Kine, had summoned the greatest warriors from across the galaxy to face this threat, but none had succeeded. A communication crystal glowed on her desk. The latest reports painted a grim picture. Another Vexian fleet destroyed, another colony world fallen. The humans called it humanity-first warfare, though Lyra struggled to understand what drove such fierce determination. "Your Highness," came a voice from behind her. General Thane, her father's most trusted advisor, approached with measured steps. "The Emperor requests your presence in the war chamber." Lyra turned, her violet eyes reflecting concern. "More defeats?" "A proposal," Thane replied carefully. "The humans have sent an emissary. They wish to negotiate." The war chamber buzzed with activity as Lyra entered. Holographic displays showed troop movements across multiple sectors, while ministers debated strategy in hushed tones. At the center of it all stood Emperor Kine, his golden crown catching the artificial light. "Daughter," he said without looking, away from the tactical display. "The humans offer single combat, their champion against our finest warrior. Winner takes the disputed territories." "A trap," muttered Defense Minister Vale. "No species offers such terms unless victory is assured." Lyra studied the human transmission recording. The figure on screen appeared unremarkable by galactic standards. Average height, brown hair, basic armor. Yet something in his steady gaze commanded attention. When he spoke, his words carried quiet authority. "I am Captain Blake of the Terran Federation. We propose honorable combat to end this bloodshed. Choose your champion. Who will face him?" Lyra asked. "That remains unclear," her father admitted. "Our greatest warriors hesitate. They have studied human combat footage and found something unsettling in their fighting style." Lyra had seen those recordings herself. Humans fought with calculated brutality, adapting instantly to new situations. They seemed to view death not as failure, but as acceptable cost for victory. Most disturbing was their apparent immunity to fear paralysis that affected other species. "I will face him," she declared. Silence fell across the chamber. Emperor Kane slowly turned to face his daughter, his expression unreadable. "Lyra, you are trained in combat, but I am the finest swordsman in the Empire," she interrupted. "My psychic abilities surpass any warrior we have. If I cannot defeat one human, then perhaps we deserve to lose this war." The meeting on the neutral moon of Korax was witnessed by representatives from a dozen species. Lyra arrived in ceremonial armor, her crystalline blade humming with psychic energy. The human delegation consisted of 3 individuals, the captain, a medic, and what appeared to be a recording technician. Captain Blake stepped forward as the viewing stands filled with onlookers. He wore simple combat gear and carried 2 curved blades that seemed primitive compared to Lyra's advanced weaponry. "Princess Lyra," he said with a respectful nod. "I hoped we might speak before we fight." "Speak?" she replied, surprised by the courtesy. "You came to conquer, not negotiate." "I came to end a war," Blake corrected. "My people believe conflict should serve purpose, not pride." They stood 10 paces apart in the designated arena. Lyra activated her blade's psychic resonance, feeling the familiar surge of power through her consciousness. She reached out with her mind, seeking to disorient her opponent, as she had countless others. Nothing happened. Blake's mental defenses were unlike anything she had encountered. Not walls or barriers, but something more fundamental. His mind seemed naturally resistant to psychic intrusion, as if evolution itself had prepared humans for such attacks. "Your turn," he said simply. Lyra launched herself forward, her enhanced reflexes allowing movement faster than most species could track. Her blade carved through the air toward Blake's neck in a strike that should have ended the combat. Instantly, Blake moved, not the careful, calculated movement of a trained warrior, but something more primal. He flowed around her attack like water, one blade deflecting her strike while the other whispered past her defenses. Only her armor's energy field prevented serious injury. They separated, circling each other warily. Lyra realized with growing unease that Blake had held back. That near-fatal counterattack had been restrained, almost gentle. "Why?" she demanded. "Why spare me?" Blake lowered his weapon slightly. "Because killing you serves no purpose. This war accomplishes nothing for either our peoples. You speak of purpose while conquering our worlds." "We defend ourselves," Blake replied calmly. "Your empire declared us unfit for civilization. Your fleets attacked our colonies first." Lyra felt her certainty waver. The official reports had painted humans as aggressors, but Blake's words carried unmistakable honesty. She pressed her psychic senses against his mind again, seeking deception. Instead, she found something impossible. The Vixian royal bloodline carried an ancient genetic marker, one that, according to legend, would resonate with their destined life partner. For millennia, no such resonance had been detected. The old prophecies were dismissed as primitive superstition. Yet, Blake's genetic pattern harmonized perfectly with her own. "This cannot be," she whispered, her blade lowering. Blake tilted his head, studying her expression. "What is it?" "You are human. I am Vexian. We are enemies." "Are we?" Blake asked. "Or are we two people who happen to represent different species?" Lyra's training warred with newfound emotions. Every instinct told her to continue fighting, to prove Vexian superiority. But the genetic resonance grew stronger with proximity, creating sensations she had never experienced. "The war," she said weakly, "will end today, one way or another," Blake replied. "The question is whether it ends in death or understanding." Lyra looked around the arena, seeing the expectant faces of observers from both sides. They anticipated violence, conquest, submission. Instead, she made a choice that would reshape galactic politics. She deactivated her weapon. "I yield," she announced to the stunned crowd, "but not in defeat. I yield to the possibility that some conflicts can be resolved through wisdom rather than warfare." Blake approached slowly, his own weapons lowered. "And I yield the claim to your territories. Humans seek coexistence, not domination." The formal negotiations took days, but the real diplomacy happened in quiet conversations between Lyra and Blake. They discovered that human expansion had been defensive, responding to perceived Vexian aggression. Both species had been manipulated by extremist factions seeking profit from prolonged conflict. More importantly, Lyra confirmed what her genetic markers had revealed. Blake was indeed her destined partner, chosen by forces neither fully understood. Their union would symbolize the peace between their peoples and mark the beginning of a new era of cooperation. The wedding was attended by representatives from across the galaxy, celebrating not just the joining of two individuals, but the end of a devastating war. Princess Lyra had faced a human warrior, expecting to find an enemy, but discovered instead her greatest ally and the key to lasting peace.